Good day. Thank you for joining us at the Chai Academy. I am Rabbi Sachs, Yaakov Sachs, and today's class is called the Judaism's definition of strength. So we have discussed in the previous class, the previous time we met, we discussed Judaism's definition of wisdom. And very different than conventional wisdom of wisdom. So today we're going to, it's going to be on the same, it's actually the same author. It's a fellow by the name of Shimon ben Zoma. And he was, we used to call him, they called him in Mishnaic times Ben Zoma, because there were so many Shimons in his class, and they didn't call him Rabbi Shimon, interestingly enough, or Rabbi Ben Zoma, because he never got ordination. He never got the smicha. He never became a formal rabbi. While he knew more than most rabbis, but he never went for the degree, so to speak. So so he was never called by that title. He was mentioned in the Mishnah, which is all you need to know about him, that he was extremely lofty scholar, and clearly a fear of God, and an inspiring fellow, but not the rabbi part. Whereas the flip side of the same coin, you have somebody like me sitting in this seat who is called rabbi, but lacks the other qualities that he had. So, go figure. So he says, Ben Zoma says, what is Ezaho Gibor? Who is strong? And he immediately says, Hakovesh es Yitzro. Somebody who subdues his inclination. And somebody, give me a second. Somebody can't find the class. Somebody who subdues his inclination. So it is so what is inclination? What is that? What does it mean, subduing one's inclination? So what is an inclination, for that matter? So an inclination essentially is somebody's instinct. It's and everybody has different instincts, and everybody has a unique instinct, and by God, everybody has a distinct challenges. Everybody has. So what is an instinct? So it's brought down, and by the way, there's a colloquial expression, Yetzer Tov, a good instinct / inclination, Yetzer Hara, a bad inclination, a bad instinct, etc. So it's brought down in Tanya, in the book of Tanya, that an instinct, one's inclination, even the bad one, is not bad. So we have the Yetzer Tov, the good inclination. That's completely aligned, with the do-good stuff, and it's aligned with godliness, and it's aligned with everything that's consistent with morality, etc. And then you have the quote-unquote bad inclination. So the Holy Book of Tanya, which is a Kabbalistic book, hi Helen, glad you made it on, is really, he says it's not a bad inclination. It's just a selfish inclination. Whatever makes it, whatever makes it happy, whatever makes it comfortable, it's not bad. Some comforts could be bad, but most bodily comforts are not bad, and they're fine. But they need, as Ben Zoma said, need to be curbed. They need to be curtailed. You don't give in right away to every inclination, even if it's not bad. So an inclination or a need or an instinct or to fight for one's survival is perfectly okay. The instinct to get married is perfectly fine. It's holy instinct. right? The instinct to make love, perfectly fine. The instinct to protect oneself, totally fine, etc., etc. But not always is it you have to do it the way the instinct wants you to do it. Sometimes you need a delay. And they say the generation today is very into immediate gratification. So immediate gratification can be fine, but it also immediate gratification could be deadly. And so it's basically, it means control. It means control of yourself. It's not talking about physical strength. Proof of the pudding is an animal can have physical strength, but it's not necessarily in control. So who is strong? We're not talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger, who, by the way, clearly did not curb his instinct with his I think it was his domestic help he had a kid with while he was married to Maria. So it's not talking about physical strength, but rather it's talking about a really your insides. Do you fall prey to whatever you desire? You know what it is? It just hit me. It's not physical strength, but rather it's strength of character. That would be what Ben Zomer is saying. And by the way, strength of character is a war. And it's a continuous war. With a physical war, once the Germans, once they surrendered, once the Japanese surrendered, once Saddam Hussein surrendered, they surrendered. It's not the case with a strength of character. With character, with it's more precarious with your inner self, because once they've surrendered for the moment. But as soon as you let your guard down, your natural born instincts, immediate gratification, some of them could be bad, will rear their ugly head. So practically, and everybody has their own weakness. Everybody has their unique challenges. To me, to curse out somebody right then and there who wronged my spouse, is not something that I don't struggle with it. I'll hold my tongue. Sometimes I won't, then it's a weakness, but for the most part I can control my emotions. For others it's much harder. And therefore they have to be strong. I don't have to dip too far into my inner strength to curb that. I don't have to dip far at all to yell at somebody immediately if they hurt me. I would rather sulk and then send them an email or write an email and then, like Lincoln, hold on to it and then send it after reading it the next day. Some people are, immediate response, and it just escalates the problem. And perhaps they need to curb their strength. Me, what would be a curbing my strength? Curbing my strength would be chocolate babka, right? I would have to say, okay, it's not, you can't have this. You're trying to lose weight, or it's before prayers, and I don't generally like to eat before prayers, or it's Yom Kippur, or and so that would be something. I chocolate, cinnamon babka, I need no strength. I could throw it out whole. Chocolate babka, kakash cake, where it's really thin and chocolatey and doughy. That's a challenge. So I mean, but that's a light challenge. And me being who I am, it has to be kosher. If it's not kosher, I'm not tempted. If it is kosher, I'm tempted. Not on Yom Kippur. I'm tempted to finish the whole thing, or leave less for someone else. So those are my things, and on and on and on and on and on. Am I tempted by porn? No. Am I It's just not my bailiwick. And it could be because I'm a naturally born with less emotion than the next guy, with less passion perhaps than the next guy. So therefore, I'm not. But am I tempted to read a novel quicker than a book of Jewish wisdom? Yeah, that's spot on. That's me. So I would have to say there'll be time for that, but right now I have to study. As an example, and all these are really, they're true examples, but they're benign examples. Right? To punch somebody's lights out takes real inner strength not to, if you're inclined to do it. I believe there's a line, by the way, from Schindler's List. It was, to me, when I saw Schindler's List, it was mind-blowing. It was this fellow, this Nazi, may he rot in hell. He's standing on a balcony, and he's zeroing in the camp on somebody, on a poor woman minding a Jewish woman minding her own business. And somebody told him, with you, Fritz, or whatever his name was, with you, Fritz, it takes more strength not to shoot her than to shoot her. So he listened, and he put the shotgun, or whatever it was, the rifle, down. And he goes, yeah, voila. It takes strength not to shoot her. 2 minutes later, he was at it again, and he shot her. Because he lacked the strength. It was easier for him to shoot her. And that's the idea. Somebody who subdues, you have an inkling. You have you're drawn to it. You have a lust for it. You have a certain attraction to it. You have an addiction to it, and that's probably right where it comes in. You have an addiction to do something, and you say, no, I'm going to be strong here and not take that cup of alcohol, not take that drink. I'm going to be strong here and eat, even though I have anorexia tendencies. I'm going to be strong here and put the drug down because I know it's deleterious to my well-being. That's strength, right? There's a great line, just an awesome line in Proverbs that says that he who is slow to anger is better than anybody else. It's the best quality. Why? Because anger is extremely easy to become angry. Most people get angry. And if you train yourself not to get angry, that's better. It's a better quality than anything else. Aside from anger, is such a horrific quality that the Talmud compares it to idol worship. Right? So aside from that it is I think something that most human beings, even decent human beings, suffer with. Somebody hurts them, they're going to get angry. Somebody hurts their business, they're going to get angry. Somebody hurts their spouse, they're going to get angry. Their kids are going to get angry. But you be slow to it. Your mind is over emotion. That is better than anything else. I think it was Rabbi Yisrael Salanter who said as following. He says that, and this takes strength, inner strength. Worry more about your spiritual failings and your spiritual qualities than your friends' spiritual qualities, failings, and worry less about how financially you are doing and more about your friend's physical status. You yourself worry about your spiritual things and less about your friends, but worry more about your friend's physical and financial status than yours. I mean, it's just tremendous thing. That takes strength. That takes gumption. That takes grit. So you have what we basically, to sum up and to say that you have a yetzer, you have an inclination that could be bad things, but could also be good things. We spoke about you don't have to have immediate gratification, and you basically you try and curb your immediate reaction, and sometimes you have to curb it completely. Sometimes you just have to delay it, and sometimes you have to go the extra mile, and it may take strength. For example, you may not like your mother-in-law, but in out of respect to your spouse, you go the extra mile and you're nice to your mother-in-law. You go the extra mile to say something to your spouse's partner, your wife's partner. You're nice to her because you know your wife has to deal with her on an ongoing basis, or your husband has to deal with her or him on an ongoing basis, whatever it may be. So that's so you sort of go the extra mile. And Tanya quotes the Talmud about going the extra mile, how it takes so much strength to go the extra mile. The mile you go to, the extra mile. And it quotes the Talmud that says that there back in the day in the Talmud, so you hire an Uber. Back then it was a camel. And the Uber, they have their rates. Anything under 5 miles is $1. Anything above 1 mile, anything above 5 miles to 10 miles is $20. Why? Because your camel usually goes up to 5 miles. You want my camel to go more than 5 miles, it's going to cost you not double the price, but triple the price, or whatever. It's going to cost you a lot more, because we're doing something we don't usually do. We're going the extra, literally in this case, the mile. The Tanya talks about that if you usually study your Torah, you study it, and the norm is to study it 10 times, review, you'll get a reward. But if you review it 11 times, which is not the norm, you'll get way more of a reward, because you've gone above the norm. You've tapped into that strength, and you've gone above the norm. And sometimes it could be not what community does, but you've gone the norm for yourself, right? You've gone the norm for yourself. There's a beautiful story of the Chofetz Chaim, right? Passed away in their 30s or 40s, something like that. So the Chofetz Chaim met with this philanthropic individual. The fellow had a lot of money, and supported many Jewish causes. And the fellow told him that I'm going to scale back my business, and hence, therefore, scale back my charity, because I want to study more. I want to, quasi-retire and study more, because I want to connect to God. The Chofetz Chaim looked at him and said, if a soldier during wartime would say, you know what, I'm going to leave the army, I'm going to go AWOL, because I believe I can best serve my country doing something else, they would court-martial him, which could possibly lead to death, a deserter. So the Chofetz Chaim said to him, you may think that you're doing a noble act, and it's a strong statement that you're making, that I'm leaving the business world to study Torah, when really that's weak. Because for you got to stay in the business world and not leave it, because that is where you belong. And for you to say that I'm going to leave it is an act of cowardice and weakness, because you're needed in the philanthropic division. So it's a beautiful story. So basically we have to tell our inclination, no. No, not right, or not right now, or no, or shortly, or wait. There'll be time for that. And that is the general approach, and that is the acceptable approach. And along came the Baal Shem Tov, the founder of the Hasidic movement. And this is what made him special. This out of the box thinking. So up until the Baal Shem Tov, people used to do iskafia. Iskafia meant they used to curb their inclination. No. You like brownie? Don't have brownie, because you're giving in. Have brownie once a week. Right? You like to drink? No. You like to smoke? No. Don't give in to physical follies and physical wants and desires. Don't give in. Be strong, because that way you'll connect with God better. That was the approach before the Baal Shem Tov for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Stay strong. Along came the Baal Shem Tov and said, no, you got it all wrong. Don't break your Yetzer. Don't break your inclination. Don't cause it to backwards until it snaps. You don't want to do that, right? Because then you have a mortal enemy. He says, bring your inclination along with you. Make it a part of you. And so therefore, it wants to eat brownie. The brownie's kosher. Let it have the brownie. Let it be content that it won this battle. And, it's non-kosher brownie? Never. Kosher brownie? Of course. The Baal Shem Tov's approach was that live with your inclination, not fight it. Live with it. Bring it into your side of thinking. Love it. Cherish it. And then use your strength for bigger battles. And as far as the philosophy, if you lose smaller battles, you'll lose bigger battles, he said not necessarily. Not necessarily. If you, there's a story with it's the previous Rebbe told the story. I think it was about his mother. That his mother was sick. And the doctors told her that when she wakes up in the morning, she has to eat right away to get her strength. And she shouldn't wait until prayers are over. She shouldn't wait until prayers are over for her to eat, but rather eat and then pray. And she says, no. In the code of Jewish law, it says pray and then eat. No. So her father called her in and said, honey, and this is the Baal Shem Tov's approach. Honey, it's better to eat to pray than rather pray to eat. If you're going to eat first in order to enhance your prayers and be stronger, then do it. But that takes strength. Because you say, no, I'm always accustomed to do this. Yeah, I know. But the doctors told you. So now eat. And then you'll be able to pray. Well, if you pray first and ignore the advice of the doctors, it's not right. So eat and then pray. And that became a message for everybody. You wake up in the morning, you're hungry, don't ignore your body. Judaism doesn't believe in self-flagellating. We don't beat ourselves up. We don't take a strap with studs on and hit ourselves. No, we work within our body. We work within our body. We don't starve ourselves. The Hasidic philosophy is do not starve yourself. Starvation was the old, that was it's what the Jews used to do back then. We don't. Right? We used what we call evidence-based training. And evidence-based training is that you don't starve yourself. You eat. And use that to do good, to study, to pray, to help someone else. You want to starve for your sins? It's not evidence-based. It's not. And the book of Tanya completely throws the book at it. Do not do that. Because that's not real strength. Real strength is welcoming, embracing your own self, and allowing it to soar along with you. To break it as the enemy, it's not the enemy. If it's immoral, it's the enemy. But if it's a piece of brownie, it's not the enemy. It's your friend. And therefore, you do it. If you're a selfish person, let's take this example, where you say to yourself, I'm not going to give charity. I don't even want to get married. I don't want to have kids. I just want to live my life of hedonism. I want to be in a different Caribbean island every week. It takes strength to say, no. You're going to have kids despite yourself. You're going to get married despite yourself. Is it going to be harder? Yes, but you got to do it. Because that's true living. To starve yourself is not true living. So you have to know where to pick your battles. You have to know where to place your conviction. And that, Ben Zoma says, takes strength. You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. To live a life of hedonism, all about you, fight it. To eat before davening or not fast when you know other people are fasting, I'm not talking about accepted fast days. I'm talking about your own fast. Fight it. And do not fast, because pick your battles. Know when to hold them and know when to fold them is a complete act of strength. Any questions before I go? If not, have an awesome day, a great day, and may you be blessed. Remember to share these classes. Let people know that we have something called the Chai Academy, thechaycenter.com/academy. God bless.